Since I started running and since I became president of the United States, I just keep hearing repeal, replace, repeal, replace. Well, we're starting that process, and we're starting it in a very positive manner. And I can say when you get Rand Paul on your side, it has to be positive. That I can tell you.
And there he goes. It turns around, and he got a pen for the movement because I think Senator Rand Paul and the president worked together on this. And joining us now is Rand Paul himself. Senator, what role did you play in having the president push forward on that executive order yesterday?
You know, for several months we've been talking to him about the idea. We've talked with the Secretary of Labor about the idea, and they've always been excited about it. And we were tremendously excited yesterday that it came to fruition. Still going to take a while. You know, they have to evaluate the regulations, and then insurance takes about a year to be sold in advance. So unfortunately, people actually buying insurance across state lines may take a year or so to happen. But we are excited that it's going to happen because this is the one part of the marketplace that works. And people don't realize this, but 50% of big corporations, really 50% of people who buy private insurance, already buy it across state lines through these type of plans. And this is mostly really good insurance. If you work for Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Amazon, Microsoft, this is the kind of insurance you get, but now we're going to let individuals join associations and get the same good insurance that these big corporations get.
Here's what Tim Ryan said, and you know he wanted to replace Nancy Pelosi. He says this dismantles coverage protections for people with pre-existing conditions and further disadvantages the sick and the middle class. What's your reaction?
Well, he's confused because the group coverage requires no discrimination, and it also protects against pre-existing conditions and has since 1996. This would be the same insurance you have at a big corporation. If you work for a big corporation, let's say you work for Ford or General Motors, if you get sick, you're not fired. They don't not hire you because you have a pre-existing illness. People are protected in these big corporations under big corporate cross-state ERISA plans. They're protected. That's all we're doing is setting it up so individuals can get this as well.
Senator Paul, is another challenge that some of these insurers might be selling plans that aren't comprehensive enough to give people the coverage that's necessary that was there under Obamacare? Or was that the intent, to loosen up these regulations and give people these very light plans?
It does loosen up the regulations, and it's unknown whether you'll get some that are catastrophic plans that really are high deductible and don't cover much, but you also may get the leverage to get even better plans. So, for example, the National Restaurant Association may be representing 15 million people. If 15 million people are represented by one person, my guess is the leverage you'll have with the insurance company will actually provide very good insurance. So I anticipate that people are going to get very good insurance at a much less expensive cost because we're empowering the consumer to have negotiating power.
Of course, you have a lot of respect for the power of Congress. You know, executive orders drove you nuts when President Obama was doing it. Now you have another one here, and this will expire when this president leaves in 4 or 8 years. Do you feel personally responsible at all that the president has to go this route?
Well, you know, the interesting thing is I look at executive orders this way. If you're going to take an executive order, create a new government program, or create a big new immigration program that controverts the law, that's wrong. But actually what President Trump did yesterday is he looked back at the original law and said, you know what, do people have the right to associate? Actually, under the First Amendment, we're guaranteed the right to associate. So I think that there's a way of looking at this that says, you know what, all the president did yesterday was allow people the freedom to associate, and I think it's a great idea.
Senator, there's something else that's coming your way, and I think the House, the Speaker of the House said, I'm going to stay till Christmas to get tax reform done. Do you feel as though you're going to go to work, you personally, are going to go to work on tax reform to try to get to a yes, or are you just going to stay in your corner and let the legislation come to you?
I've been the biggest proponent of cutting taxes in Washington. When I ran for president, I had a large tax cut. I agree completely with the president. I talked with him yesterday. We're both on the same page, but I have warned them that there's a problem with the swamp putting this bill forward. The people in the middle who pay the 25% rate, if you take away 2 of their big deductions but leave their rate the same, there's a big danger a lot of people in the middle class will get a tax increase. I've warned them of this. I think they're aware of it. The president looked at his people directly yesterday, pointed a finger at them and said, I will not raise the taxes on the middle class. I take that to heart. I believe the president, but the bill has to be fixed. And the reason I'm making noise about it is I want to be yes, but they got to fix the bill so we don't have a big increase on the middle class.
What are those deductions that worry you?
Well, the deductions aren't as important to me whether you get rid of them or not, but you have to either adjust the rate or adjust the bracket so you don't have a big tax increase. If the rate stays the same and you get rid of deductions and you don't change the brackets, you got a big tax increase. So they're aware of the problem, and we're hoping that it gets fixed. The reason I'm making a lot of noise now is once it comes out of committee, there's no fixing it. Amendments never happen around here. They never pass. So we got to get it right the first time because I want it to pass.
And help us understand, because our audience, mostly middle class, they want to know what is middle class. What do you understand it to be?
Well, middle class can be defined different ways. According to the tax code, those who pay in the 25% bracket, it starts for a family at $75,000 and goes up to $300,000. Now, some people might say, oh, that's rich people. That is the upper middle class, but that is the ones that will be affected if we get rid of deductions and leave the 25% rate the same. So you have to understand that in the beginning, because we don't want, like in my state, it would be 200,000 people with a tax increase.
Right.
And these are the solid middle class. They're business owners. They're doing pretty well, but we don't want to punish them because they are the engine of employment in small business.
And the president will not get another 4 years if the working class and the middle class are left behind again.
And it's not his intention, but I'm worried about the swamp creatures up here who get so obsessed with policy and getting rid of the state income tax deduction that they forget that the primary goal of conservatives is lowering taxes, not just tax policy. It's actually making sure everybody's taxes are lower.
And at some point, we're going to have to go into entitlements. Senator Rand Paul, thanks so much.